An IMF agreement expected to put revenue back into Barbados. A belief that the next generation of Barbadians will be job creators. And more Barbadians can now get fit for crop over.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. The IMF agreement currently being contemplated by government is expected to bring much-needed revenue back into Barbados. This from Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Trade, Sandra Husbands. She says it's consistent with the BLP's promise to place money back in the hands of Barbadians and kickstart economic growth. Ms. Husbands was speaking at a conference held by the Barbados chapter of Certified Management Consultants and says government's measures are intended to spread the flow of money throughout the economy instead of leaving it in the hands of a few.
Cannot be positioned in one corner of the economy or in the hands of just a few, but it has to be diffused throughout the body so that the income is able to generate activity throughout the economy. So by helping our pensioners to have more disposable income, we will actually relieve a lot of very real suffering that is happening among pensioners who are finding it difficult to make ends meet.
Ms. Husband says placing money back into the hands of middle-class Barbadians will allow it to be more evenly spread.
By reducing the NSRL, we're putting more disposable income into every single family, and especially among the middle class. The middle class is extremely important to economies like Barbados because your disposable income is then spread throughout the working class. Every time you get your landscaping done, every time you stop and buy from a vendor, every time you go into a retail shop, every time you hire someone to take care of your children or to take care of your home or to wash your car.
The next generation of Barbadians will largely be job creators rather than job seekers. That's the belief of Minister of Youth and Community Empowerment, Adrian Ford. Minister Ford has pledged his ministry's continued support to ensure this becomes a reality.
If we look around the Barbadian economic landscape, it is already happening as entrepreneurs, and in particular, young entrepreneurs. You all are organizing and operating income-generating activities and are taking the necessary financial and other risks to do so. Given entrepreneurship's potential to drive economic growth, my ministry pledges to provide the development framework, necessary resources, and critical support to nurture entrepreneurs and foster a culture of entrepreneurial thinking.
Mr. Ford was speaking during the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme's Business Labs presentation and awards ceremony. The evening featured business pitches from 3 groups of participants before a panel of judges. Manager of the YES program, Salma Green, reminded the participants that each of their business plans has the ability to create wealth.
You are a key part of an economic chain that must not be broken. Your business is not only about you, the contributions you make starting from today, because you've gone out and sold some stuff already, can expand the economic playing field for your enterprises to grow and for you to create sustainable livelihoods, not only for yourselves, but for your families and for your communities. So you're doing this for your kids, for your next door neighbor, for Barbados as a whole.
2 temporary senators were sworn in today at Government House. They are Delel Bradshaw and John Williams. The 2 former ministers of government will temporarily sit in the Senate as replacements for Senators designate Rawdon Adams and Kay McConney, who were absent from the May 31st swearing-in ceremony. Mr. Adams and Ms. McConney's absence, as pointed out by Attorney General Dale Marshall, relates to Barbados' 1966 Constitution, which stipulates that a senator must be an ordinary resident in the country for 12 consecutive months before being appointed. On Tuesday, following the official opening of Parliament, Prime Minister Mia Mottley took the necessary step towards amending the island's constitution to provide for the appointment of both to the Senate. The Senate is expected to meet for the first time on the constitutional amendment tomorrow. An immediate recall has been issued tonight for 225 gram boxes of Gram Regal glucose. In a statement late this evening, Massey Distribution Barbados Limited issued a voluntary recall for Regal glucose 225 grams on behalf of Regal Products Limited, the manufacturer for Regal products out of Trinidad and Tobago. According to Massey, the product recall was initiated as a result of a discovery that some glucose boxes have been found to actually contain baking soda. Massey Distribution is therefore advising its customers with this product to immediately return all sealed packages of the 225 gram Regal glucose to the point of purchase for immediate refund. The National Cultural Foundation has received a timely injection to boost its work. This morning, People's Republic of China officially presented over $70,000 worth of furnishings and equipment to the foundation. CEO Cranston Brown says the gifts will be used wisely.
They have given to us $70,000 worth of equipment. We have outfitted the boardroom. We have placed a number of chairs, refurnished the steel shed, and a number of pieces of computer equipment which we were in dire need of. So we have upgraded the overall capacity of the NCF to do our work.
Ambassador Yan Chua-Sing says his country's relationship with Barbados has continued to blossom, especially in the cultural arena.
During the past years, we have a very good cooperation with NCF to promote the friendship between China and Barbados. Culture is always an important linkage to the different peoples. It is, if you want to understand another country, a foreign country, first you should understand the culture of the people and the nation. So during the past years, we have good cooperation and relationship between Chinese Embassy and NCF.
A local gay rights activist believes the existence of some of Barbados' laws is diminishing the country's ability to fight the spread of HIV. Trans woman Alexa Hoffman says the laws, which include the anti-buggery law, opens the door to stigma and discrimination and makes people reluctant to come forward. She says this is compounded by the fact that government agencies tasked with the fight against HIV and AIDS don't want to be seen as condoning the commission of a crime. The result is that many cases go unchecked.
That's why right now the MSN community has an infection rate of 14% versus about 1% in the general population. And to even take it on a wider context, the Caribbean has the second highest rate of HIV infections, right behind sub-Saharan Africa. Mostly this is because of sexual offenses legislations like what we're dealing with here. If these are taken off the books, it just makes the process that much easier for government agencies, health agencies to intervene, treat, prevent, and basically control the rampancy of HIV.
A third round of voting to elect an Anglican bishop is underway at the Christchurch Parish Church Centre. Our Lisa Lord is there and joins us live. Good evening, Lisa.
Good evening, Shane. Well, the meeting here started a little later than scheduled, than the scheduled 5:30 start, not getting underway until around 6. We're actually still waiting on the results from the first ballot. Now, as you know, Shane, the two candidates are the Dean of the St. Michael's Cathedral, Dr. Jeffrey Gibson, and Rector of the St. George Parish Church and World Dean of St. John, Reverend John Rogers. Saying the elective synod will determine which gentleman will hold the top post. A little information on the synod for you. It is made up of the House of Clergy, which is comprised of all priests from the 44 Anglican churches, as well as the House of Laity, which is comprised of lay people in the church. Neither Reverend Rogers nor Dean Gibson has so far gained the 2/3 majority in both houses, which is required by law to be declared the head of the church. And this is, of course, as you pointed out earlier, the third round of voting. Now, the elective synod, it has until the end of August to choose a bishop. I got here just before 5, and several of the priests I spoke to are hoping that we will have a bishop within the next few hours. As I said, we are awaiting the results from the very first ballot, So, Shane, it is gearing up to be a very long night.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. We'll take a short break here and come back with more news. Professionals in the health field are getting the message about the link between what people eat and the high number of cancer cases in Barbados and the Caribbean. But one dietitian is not convinced they are passing on the message to their clients. That dietitian is Esther Salmon. Speaking to CBC News on the sidelines of the 3rd annual conference put on by her organization, the theme of which the science of garden to the plate, cancer prevention and survival. The 3-day conference is being held at the Hilton Barbados and ends tomorrow.
You're getting the information, but then what are you going to do after you finish here? And I think sometimes, especially for the conference, I challenge health practitioners to be able to take the information that they would obtain and to be able to put it into practice in their own environment of work as they're dealing with the patient, client, doctor, nurse, dietitian, yes. So it's important for them to pass that information on to, don't just get the information, but pass it on to the patient.
The papers produced by the Association of Caribbean Historians have found a home in the West Indies Federal Archives Center. President of the association, Rosemary Hofta, along with archivist at the University of the West Indies, Sharon Alexander Gooden, signed the agreement to make the move a reality. It means that all of the memorabilia, minutes, images, video and audio recordings produced by the ACH will be stored at the archives at Cave Hill. And Deputy Principal of the Cave Hill campus, Professor Clive Landis, says adding the works produced by the ACH will complement the vast collections that already exist in the archives.
When you travel, as I do, to other parts of the world, there is an interest in the Caribbean. It's a recognized region, tremendously influential in the artistic sphere, the literary sphere, and others. And where do people go if they want to find anything out about the Caribbean? There is very little in terms of material that is findable, and we need to be that source of material for all the various trade delegations and diplomatic initiatives that are going on in the region.
In fact, Professor Landis has described the content of the archives as the crown jewels of the university, which he says must be made available to the world. It's being done through the long and expensive digitization process, but the university is determined to become the center for research in the region.
I understand we've already started digitizing certain photographs from the West Indies Federation, and this is just the beginning. On the library side, we have one completely digitized collection, which is all the papers and materials, many of them audiovisual, of Dame Olga Lope's seal. It's a tremendously rich collection.
The Eden Lodge Primary School is ensuring its students have the opportunity to hone their leadership skills and learn the importance of community service. Recently, that school launched its first Kiwanis K Kids Club and installed 26 members. The K Club is sponsored by the Kiwanis Club Pride of Barbados. District Administrator Sophia Chase reminded the students of the club's benefits and urged them to take their responsibilities seriously.
Your entry into the Kiwanis family is twofold. Firstly, you are serving others through your service to your community. And secondly, you are gaining leadership skills. And we in Kiwanis, we strongly believe in mentoring young people because we believe that our young people are the future and we must look out for our future. We must establish a future.
Principal Grace Wickham said many of the Kiwanis Club's values are in line with those upheld by the school.
The children in this club are encouraged to be caring, to be concerned about others, and to be interested in their welfare. And through our motto here, truthful speech, honest action, courage, and patience, we endeavor to build good characters here. So girls and boys, you have a wonderful opportunity as members of the K Kids Club You are being held to a very high standard. So the words that come out of your mouth must be good.
After the break, we'll check in with some of our regional neighbors. St. Lucia has seen a growing number of suicides and attempted suicide cases over the past few years. And as a result, the Castries North Youth and Sports Council has hosted a suicide prevention seminar. Yesterday's seminar, according to President Kim Keogh, targeted students attending secondary schools in North Castries.
Coming into the presidency of North Castries Council, I realized, going around talking to my young people, I realized there's a lot going on when it comes to suicide. And there's a lot going on that is silent. And I felt we need to start at an early age. And I said we could probably start with the secondary schools and start to initiate those conversations with our young people, start to speak to them and let them know that there's a way out and that we can provide them with the skills that they need to push for the others and to also look at suicide from a different angle. This morning, so far, we've highlighted what causes suicide, what are some of the things that, issues and concerns of the students, and some things that they even face at home. What are the issues, what are they going through, whether it's with their peers, what are they going through at home, within the community as well. And this is huge for us as a community council. So we're looking forward to elevating our young people, to getting them to understand what suicide is about and how we can make a change from the early stages.
In Jamaica, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the government is looking at introducing a sugary drinks restriction in the public health system. He says the restriction will seek to target beverages that contain added sugar or syrup, but this does not include juice or milk.
Starting next week, we will meet with the manufacturers. We will explain what these guidelines mean in terms of what is a per serving allowed amount in terms of those drinks that are available. And they will have to conform to those guidelines, reformulate products, use existing products that may be available, use local products, but effective January 2019, sugary drink will be restricted as part of the response to the obesity crisis in our school system.
People in Tobago who use public transport should now have an easier time getting around by bus. This after the Public Transport Service Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago added 15 buses to its fleet. The addition of these new buses means that routes which were previously discontinued will now be restored.
Of the 15 Higer buses commissioned on Tuesday, 10 are powered by diesel and 5 by CNG. Of the 5 that are powered by CNG, 2 are equipped with wheelchair access. 2 of the buses will be specifically for chartered use. Chairman of the PTSC, Edwin Gooding, said the fleet, which now stands at 35, is expected to be increased by 5 more buses before the end of 2018.
The addition of this fleet will mean immediately improved reliability of the bus service, the restoration of discontinued routes in several rural areas, improved on-time service, and all at the same affordable fares.
Mr. Gooding urged the bus drivers to take their jobs seriously and to provide a service that's reliable. Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles in his address said, contrary to what some might say, something good is always happening in Tobago. He said for close to a decade, Tobago has not received brand new buses. That has changed under his administration. He hopes the service would improve now that there are new buses available.
But I throw out to PTSC the need to regain the trust and confidence of their customers. I also challenge the workers, and the minister did allude to it as well, that you need to take on board these buses as though they are your own vehicles, and that you need to treat them with the care and delicacy, if I can use that term, that the situation demands.
He said the mode of operation by PTSE workers must change so the public feels comfortable using public transportation, thus reducing the number of private vehicles.
Over in Ghana, a bridge collapsed after a truck carrying an excavator tried to cross it. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure is now investigating whether the excavator was going to be used for illegal mining activities.
Based on initial reports, the bridge collapsed when a flatbed truck carrying an excavator attempted to cross it. Infrastructure Minister David Patterson told reporters Monday that he had already dispatched a team into the area to assess the magnitude of the works needed.
We will be building a temporary bridge so that the communities in South Rupununi can be accessed and they can they maintain with food stock and those things can go in. And then we will see exactly how we will be rebuilding the bridge to ensure that it's safer.
The minister said he had already contacted the Ministry of Public Security and the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission to ascertain the owners of the truck and whether the excavator was being transferred to a legal mining operation.
I can say for sure that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure had no project going on in that area, so that's not a Ministry of Public Infrastructure concerned project. However, we will be seeking to try and recoup some of the costs for the repairs.
In a separate statement issued to the media, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure stated, quote, "This incident compounds the ministry's call to road users within the hinterland to strictly adhere to the weight limits, especially during the wet season, since non-adherence can lead to structural failures as demonstrated now. This incident is not the first of its kind, and road users are reminded that they will be held accountable in instances of non-compliance with the weight limits." Unquote.
A peek into the world of sports is up next, but before we get there, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Asthma, the most common childhood chronic illness, is increasing worldwide and is the leading cause of school absenteeism. This tip is brought to you in association with the Asthma Association of Barbados.